Frank Matthews, the drug king who outsmarted the FBI. In the shadows of America's most dangerous cities during the early 1970s, one man rose to the top of the underworld, not through fear alone, but through ambition, intelligence, and an empire worth millions. His name was Frank Matthews, the Black Caesar, a drug kingpin whose network stretched across the United States. And then, one day, he simply vanished, taking millions of dollars with him and leaving the FBI humiliated. This is the story of the drug lord who outsmarted everyone. The rise of a kingpin. Frank Matthews was born in 1944 in Durham, North Carolina. Orphaned at a young age, he grew up in a rough neighborhood where survival meant learning fast and thinking faster. Matthews started with small-time hustles, gambling, running numbers, and organizing street games. But his natural leadership and charm caught the attention of seasoned criminals. By the mid-1960s, Matthews made the move to Philadelphia and later New York City, the beating heart of America's drug trade. At just 25, he was working with the Italian Mafia, securing heroin and cocaine shipments that would flood entire neighborhoods. Building the empire. Frank Matthews wasn't just another street-level dealer. He was a visionary entrepreneur in the underworld. At a time when the heroin and cocaine trade was tightly controlled by the Italian Mafia, Matthews boldly carved out his own territory. His brilliance lay in his ability to control the entire supply chain. He sourced pure heroin directly from international suppliers in Southeast Asia and the Caribbean, bypassing traditional middlemen to maximize profits. He developed a network of trusted lieutenants, each responsible for specific regions, from Harlem to Chicago, Miami to Washington, D.C. His operation was meticulous. Drugs were packaged in coded shipments, and communications were encrypted to avoid law enforcement detection. Matthews even used legitimate businesses, nightclubs, trucking companies, and real estate to launder millions of dollars in cash. By 1972, Matthews had amassed a fortune estimated at $20 million, an astronomical sum at the time. His nickname, the Black Caesar, reflected his dominance, wealth, and influence. Yet Matthews remained careful, avoiding unnecessary violence and cultivating alliances with corrupt officials to protect his empire. The hunt begins, but with great power comes great attention. In 1972, the FBI and DEA launched an unprecedented joint task force to take down Frank Matthews' empire. The agencies pooled resources, deploying undercover agents and informants to infiltrate his operation. Their efforts included wiretaps on Matthews' phones, surveillance of his known associates, and sting operations targeting his shipment routes. Despite their efforts, Matthews was a step ahead. His strict organizational structure meant few trusted him with full knowledge of the operation, making it nearly impossible for law enforcement to get a clear picture of his network. Matthews often changed phone numbers and meeting locations, and used coded language to evade detection. Finally, in December 1972, Matthews was arrested in Philadelphia on multiple counts of drug trafficking. But this was just the beginning of an intense legal battle. Matthews' defense team was aggressive, filing appeals and motions that bought him time he used to secure his freedom on bail. Arrest and release. After his arrest, Matthews was granted bail, a staggering $325,000, one of the highest amounts ever set for a drug trafficker at the time. This showed not only the severity of the charges, but also the government's fear of the power Matthews still wielded. Despite the charges, Matthews remained confident. Out on bail, he was free to move, to plan, and to orchestrate what would become one of the greatest disappearances in criminal history. Matthews reportedly told friends he had no intention of going back to prison, a statement that would soon become chillingly prophetic. The bail decision baffled many and raised questions about possible corruption and the influence Matthews held, not just in the criminal underworld but potentially in some corners of the justice system itself. Law enforcement agencies stepped up efforts to monitor him closely, but it was already too late. The Great Disappearance. In June 1973, Frank Matthews was scheduled to appear in court. He never showed. Instead, he vanished, along with his girlfriend, Cheryl Brown, and somewhere between $15 and $20 million in cash. No witnesses, no paper trail, no body, nothing. Rumors spread. Some claimed he fled to the Caribbean. Others believed he escaped to Africa, where drug connections and political allies had shielded him. A darker theory suggested the Mafia finally caught up to him, but in over 50 years, not a single confirmed sighting has been made. The legend lives on. To this day, Frank Matthews is one of the most wanted fugitives in U.S. history. The FBI still lists him as missing, with an active warrant for his arrest. His story is not just about drugs and money. It's about a man who dared to defy the most powerful criminal and legal forces in America, and walked away without a trace. Did Frank Matthews live out his days in luxury, watching the years pass by from a quiet seaside villa? Or was his disappearance the final chapter of a dangerous game? Until someone steps forward with the truth, the legend of the drug king who outsmarted the FBI will remain unsolved. Subscribe for more true crime documentaries, and remember, some mysteries are never meant to be solved.